The moment we hear the word debt, our instincts tell us to run, to avoid debts at all costs. Yet Paul opens Romans 13 by declaring that we are never meant to be debt-free at all, because there is one debt that follows us for life. We learn that love your neighbor fills the law with what it was intended for, from the beginning.
Romans 13, verse 8. Owe nothing to anyone except to love one another, for the one who loves his neighbor has fulfilled the law.
Money has a way of tightening the chest the moment the word debt is spoken. Even people who are careful with their finances feel the weight of obligation, the sense that something is owed and must be answered for. I feel that tension immediately when I hear Paul say, "Owe nothing to anyone," because my mind rushes to warnings, proverbs, and hard-earned advice about the dangers of debt and the loss of freedom it brings. From there, Paul seems to be walking a familiar path. Proverbs repeatedly cautions against indebtedness, and even Shakespeare's Old Wisdom tells us that borrowing and lending carry real risk. Debt feels like something to escape, not something to embrace. So at first, Romans 13 sounds like a reinforcement of what I already believe. But Paul does not stop where I expect him to stop. He introduces an exception that reframes everything. He says we are to owe nothing except love, and he speaks of this love as an ongoing indebtedness. The word he uses for owing, phi epsilon lambda omega, points to real obligation, not a vague sentiment. Paul is not softening the idea of debt. He is redirecting it. In the broader context of Romans 13, Paul has just spoken about submission to governing authorities and about paying what is due, whether taxes, respect, or honor. These are debts that can be settled. Once paid, they are complete. Love, however, works differently. It is a debt that is never exhausted. No matter how much I give, I still owe more. Paul goes further and says that the one who loves has fulfilled the law. I find this striking because fulfillment here is not cancellation. Love does not pay off the law and make it irrelevant. Love is what the law was always pointing toward. The commandments about how we treat others find their full meaning when I act in love toward my neighbor. This changes how I think about obligation. I do not love others because they have earned it or because they have first loved me. I love because God has loved me. My true debt is to him, and the payment plan he gives me is simple and demanding at the same time. I pay what I owe to God by loving the people he places in my path. I am deeply indebted, and I am always working on the payment plan. And that is my thought for today. God bless and have a great day.